and today we're going to discuss proof of stake. Maybe not discuss, just give a high level overview of what exactly is proof of stake, which essentially is an algorithm which is used to determine who will create the next block, instead of the normal proof of work where basically whoever solves the puzzle the quickest or the problem the quickest gets to mine the next block. In proof of stake, there's various options based on owning the certain coin and also having your wallet running. Essentially, that is what is used to determine who will mine the next block. Basically, there's two common ones where it's randomized, or they use coin age, as you can see here, to determine who will be the next person to mine the block. And from there onwards it goes round and round. The thought behind this is that since you are holding some of the coins, you are less likely to sabotage, as you will also lose should the network go down or should you allow fraudulent transactions. So far I really haven't had anything bad about proof of stake, and it seems to be the future, with even Ethereum also looking to switch to proof of stake at some stage. It'll be interesting to see if Bitcoin would consider proof of stake one day, as the mining and the difficulty craze keeps on increasing. So that's proof of stake in a nutshell. Let's just go and read basically what's written on the Wikipedia page. Proof of stake is a type of algorithm by which a cryptocurrency blockchain network aims to achieve distributed consensus. Okay, so in proof of stake based cryptocurrencies, the creator of the next block is chosen in a deterministic pseudo-random way, and the chance that an account is chosen depends on its wealth, i.e. the stake. In proof of stake cryptocurrencies, the blocks are usually said to be forged in the blacksmith sense of the word, or minted rather than mined. Also, usually the coins are created in the beginning and the total number of coins never changes afterwards, although there are some versions of proof of stake where coins are created. Therefore, in the basic version of proof of stakes, there are no block rewards as Bitcoin is, so forgers take only transaction fees. That's proof of stake for you in a nutshell. Moving on to some cryptocurrency news. Well, it seems that Venezuelans are causing havoc online, where they've turned over to the massive multiplayer online role-playing games to collect the in-game items and sell them for Bitcoin. As you know, currently Venezuela is experiencing a very, very bad economic conditions where inflation is rampant and food shortages are crazy and people are struggling. Quite a few were mining Bitcoin, and the government is also now trying to put pressure and crack down on that. So now they've tend to play online games, and whatever they earn in those online games they sell for Bitcoin so that they can make some food. This is not something new, and it seems to have been quite the craze. It's in China from around 2009, where people were playing to earn virtual goods and sell them for cash to make a living. Basically, there's Venezuelans are called gold farmers, where they go online, play run escape, and try to kill as many green dragons as possible. And from the earning of the gold of killing those green dragons, they sell it for about $50 for every 500,000 in-game gold they collect. And apparently pretty good players can collect $2 to $3 per hour, which is not bad for a country struggling massively. But the other people on these sites are not too pleased with this invasion of the gold farming craze, and they've come up with some solutions to try and curb this. It'll be interesting to see if this works and what next for the Venezuelans as they try to make a living. Moving on to other news, the Russian government has invited cryptocurrency to set up mining farms in Leningrad. So Leningrad wants to create an industrial park for cryptocurrency mining, including Bitcoin, and it's one of the areas that's known to have very cheap electricity, and clearly they must have some surplus, and this is why they're inviting miners over to try and take up this surplus electricity. What's interesting though is, in other news, the Bank of Russia opposes cryptocurrencies legislation, worried about loss of control. And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, as one section of the government is encouraging cryptocurrency mining and farming, while the other part of government actually is not too keen on cryptocurrencies at all, and it should come to a loggerheads sooner or later. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to see how it plays out over time. So in other news, Uruguay central bank announces a new digital cryptocurrency pilot. So this seems to be a centralized digital currency, not necessarily a cryptocurrency, because to clarify, a cryptocurrency should, in all honesty, be distributed and anonymous to some extent, whereby it's an open network where anyone can join, and whereas a digital currency is controlled by a central authority, and you probably need to go through some checks and balances just to join that network. So it'll be interesting to see how this digital currency of Uruguay works, and apparently they're still currently running a closed system pilot, so it'll be nice to find out as time progresses what exactly are the plans to as to how they'll implement this cryptocurrency. Moving on to Free Society Foundation plans to establish a libertarian country. Free Society is a foundation founded by Oliver Janssens and other well-known libertarians and cryptocurrency figureheads. As things stands right now, it seems that they're actually looking for land which they can purchase and form a country of their own. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works, as I don't see many governments selling land to you and then you becoming a sovereign nation, as that means they will not be able to collect any taxes, which is what governments live for. Interesting. Over to the Free Society page. Maybe I'll put my email address just to stay informed and see what exactly the going-ons are, and it seems they'll be revealing more information soon. This is one I'm a little bit curious about. Let's see, what is the project about? Okay, for many decades most libertarians have been trying to create a new country by various methods that have ranged from successfully claiming an existing piece of land to creating floating structures of water. Unfortunately, none of these attempts have succeeded so far and have encountered substantial resistance from existing governments. What a surprise. Or were technically or financially too difficult. Our conclusion is that to really gain sovereignty, the most efficient way is to negotiate with an existing government. There are many examples of governments granting another nation sovereignty over part of their territory. The more prominent example being Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, which the USA leased as a coalition and naval station in 1903 for $2,000 payable in gold per year. Other benevolent example are the current discussion between Maldives and other nations to sell a piece of the land in an attempt to have a solution for their people once their islands permanently disappear because of rising oceans. Sounds like a great idea, but I really personally don't see many governments willing to sell a piece of their land permanently without any revenue coming in, or without any form of fleecing you for more cash going forward. But we shall see how the free society carries on. Bitcoin price is headed to 25,000 despite recent setbacks, says the researcher on CNBC. Well, it seems like the easiest thing currently is to predict how high the Bitcoin price will be in X number of years. The value of Bitcoin may now be compared with gold, as it's likely to be heading to $25,000 in 5 years, according to Tom Lee. I would agree with him, and maybe I'm a bit more positive, and I would think it could be higher than that in 5 years. Looking at recent history, whenever we've had spikes, it's been 2 to 3 times. So I would say 2 years, another 2 to 3 times would put us at 12 to 15,000. And another 2.5 years, and another 2 to 3 times puts us at 25 to 35,000 minimum. And depending on our adaptation, that could be 100,000 in 5 years. But I'm no expert, as usual. It's not investment advice. It's just speculation. It's guesswork. I just did the numbers in my head right here in front of you. So please do your own research. Always risk what you can afford to lose, and don't take my advice, as it is just guesswork. Moving forward with some interesting news, Bitcoin developers have revealed a roadmap for Dandelion Privacy Project. Basically, this project is aimed at obfuscating the IP address of the originator of a payment, so that you don't really know who or where the payment came from. And this could be a good one to increase the privacy of actually the Bitcoin transactions, as everyone can currently see which IP address it came from, and generally they can see also what your balance is. And realistically speaking, if certain governments wanted to know who had that IP address at a certain time, that information they could retrieve from your ISP quite easily. So this was initially announced earlier in the year, but due to some problems, it had to take a seat back. So it seems now they've come up with some solutions to the problem earlier, and they're gonna have to rework the solution, and there's going to be discussions and another plan as to when this could be implemented on the Bitcoin network. And I think even other cryptocurrencies will be looking at this and showing interest, as it improves privacy of all cryptocurrencies overall. Moving forward, the Ethereum hard fork has been postponed for further testing. It's not as bad as it sounds. Basically, they've just added another week to the original date, which was about scheduled for the 9th, and now they've pushed the date to around October 17, where the block number will be 437 million or so, and then the fork will be activated. The delay follows suggestion made by Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin, who recommended in a core developer discussion that the platform should be conservative relative to previous forks. It seems that they're trying to appease the miners and maybe quash the talks that I was highlighting yesterday of Ethereum Cash, where certain people are looking to split off at every opportunity of a update. So be interesting to see if this appeases some people, but I think some people are just in it for the cash, and they will fork any coin for any reason possible. So this date is also not pushed far forward, as there's Ethereum developer conference in early November, so they don't want this to clash with that, and they'd like the network to be in somewhat of a stable condition before that conference. We'll keep an eye on this and the chain split and keep you posted as usual. While on Ethereum, Raiden, the solution that I've spoken about before, which is trying to speed up the Ethereum network, is to hold its own initial coin offering. This could be a huge one, folks, as these guys seem to be focused on core functionality in the Ethereum network to speed up some transactions by taking it off the chain. I'm not sure what episode I discussed this. I think it was episode 4, but just have a look at my previous episodes, and in the description you will see what I spoke about on that day, and you can get the details of essentially what the Raiden network is aiming to offer. So I will keep an eye on this and most likely participate, but that is me risking some cash. You do your research, you make your decisions, and you carry on. Lastly, we're gonna move to the market review. It's still red and the market is in the doldrums, and as you can see, nothing looks that grand. Nothing looks that bad. It seems there might have been some news on 10x and they've showed quite a decent bounce versus everyone else in the network. It'll be interesting to see if they sustain that. Moving forward into more detailed view, biggest gainer is still Dash, who have moved up to 342. Very nice for Dash coin, and pretty much everyone else is red or slightly up, with QTAM not showing such heavy losses, at least this time. And the heaviest loser in the top 25 currently is ARK, which has lost about 30% of their recent value. It's still pretty tough, with China not backing down on killing the ICOs and killing the exchanges. Quite a few have moved offshore, but that's not helping the price at all, but it's good. Sometimes you need a little bit of common sense with these markets. Sometimes they just go too crazy too quickly, so this is not a bad thing in my opinion. Gives everyone time to catch their breath. On that note, I'll love you and leave you. It's BM for Solid Link Cryptocurrency video blog. Peace.